What if the secrets of an ancient civilization could still be found, not on parchment or buried in ruins, but within us, hidden in our DNA? The Phoenicians, a remarkable seafaring civilization, dominated the Mediterranean for over 1,000 years. They were the legendary traders who built vast networks, connecting the ancient world in ways no one had imagined before. But what happened to them? Did they simply vanish into history? Or is their story etched into the very fabric of who we are today? These questions have intrigued historians, archaeologists, and now, geneticists. Through cutting-edge DNA technology, scientists have begun unraveling the mysteries of the Phoenicians, not only their rise and fall but also their global influence. The answers are astounding. Traces of their lineage have been discovered in modern populations across Europe, North Africa, and the Near East. Imagine this, a single civilization that bridged continents, blending cultures and leaving behind a genetic imprint that stretches across the globe. This isn't just a tale of conquest or trade. It's a story of migration, integration, and resilience. Today, we embark on a journey to uncover the genetic legacy of the Phoenicians. From their bustling cities like Tyre and Carthage to the far-flung islands of the Mediterranean, we'll explore how their genetics provide a glimpse into one of history's most influential yet enigmatic civilizations. And more importantly, we'll discover what their story means for us now, thousands of years later. Could it be that you, too, carry a piece of Phoenician heritage? The answer might surprise you. Stay with us as we dive deep into this genetic odyssey, unraveling the secrets of the Phoenicians and their extraordinary influence on the world. The Phoenicians were more than just another ancient civilization. They were the connectors of their world. Emerging around 1800 BCE in the Levant, in what is now modern-day Lebanon, the Phoenicians made their mark by creating a vast network that bridged east and west. Their homeland, centered around the cities of Tyre, Sidon, and Byblos, was strategically located along the Mediterranean coast. This position allowed them to thrive as traders, innovators, and cultural intermediaries. But what made the Phoenicians truly unique wasn't just their location, it was their ability to adapt and innovate. They spoke a Semitic language and developed what is widely considered the first true alphabet. This groundbreaking system of writing became the foundation for Greek, Latin, and many modern scripts, revolutionizing communication and trade. Their ships, masterfully built and equipped for long voyages, sailed farther than most could imagine at the time. From the Iberian Peninsula in the west to the Fertile Crescent in the east, the Phoenicians traded silver, copper, glass, textiles, and even purple dye extracted from sea snails, a luxury so prized it became synonymous with royalty. And they didn't stop at trade. The Phoenicians were colonizers, establishing settlements in key locations like Carthage in North Africa, Gadir, modern Cadiz, in Spain, and even Ibiza in the Balearic Islands. Each of these outposts served as a hub for commerce and cultural exchange, connecting diverse peoples and regions under the banner of prosperity. Their influence was so profound that even the Greeks and Romans admired them. But as with all great civilizations, the Phoenicians faced challenges. Conquered by the Persians in 539 BCE, and later by Alexander the Great, their political power waned. The destruction of Carthage in 146 BCE, during the Third Punic War, marked the end of their dominance. Yet, their story didn't truly end. The Phoenicians left an indelible mark on the ancient world. Their cultural and genetic legacy endured, influencing societies long after their cities fell. But who were they, really? And what does their DNA reveal about how they shaped the populations of the Mediterranean and beyond? As we continue, we'll uncover the genetic footprints of these ancient traders and explore how their connections laid the groundwork for a multicultural Mediterranean that still resonates today. For centuries, historians and archaeologists have pieced together the story of the Phoenicians from ancient texts and ruins. But what about the people themselves? What became of their bloodlines after their cities fell, and their dominance faded into history? The answer lies in their DNA, a legacy waiting to be discovered beneath the surface of modern populations. The Phoenicians were more than just conquerors or traders. They were integrators. Wherever they went, they blended with local populations, creating diverse and multicultural communities. This unique societal structure makes their genetic footprint both fascinating and challenging to trace. Recent advancements in ancient DNA research have opened a new window into their world. By analyzing ancient burial sites in Lebanon, Tunisia, Ibiza, and Sardinia, scientists have uncovered genetic markers that tie the Phoenicians to modern populations across the Mediterranean and beyond. One of the most intriguing discoveries comes from the Y chromosome, passed down through male lineages. These studies reveal a weak yet distinct genetic signature shared by men in the Mediterranean. Traces of Phoenician ancestry still present thousands of years later. But the story doesn't stop there. Mitochondrial DNA, inherited through the maternal line, tells a story of movement and integration. Rare haplogroups, such as U5B2C1, have been linked to ancient Phoenician remains, connecting them to populations in southwestern Europe, North Africa, and even the British Isles. These genetic clues tell a story of mobility. The Phoenicians weren't isolated traders, they were bridge builders, physically and genetically connecting different regions of the ancient world. Their DNA reflects their history, a tapestry woven from the Near East, Europe, and Africa. Yet, tracing this legacy is no easy task. Over the centuries, waves of migration, conquest, and assimilation have blurred the lines of genetic continuity. Despite these challenges, scientists are uncovering a clearer picture of the Phoenicians' impact, revealing not only their movements but also the rich diversity of their society. How far did their influence truly reach? The answers lie in the genetic markers left behind, waiting to tell the story of a civilization that connected the ancient world like no other. Stay with us as we journey deeper into this genetic puzzle, exploring how the Phoenicians' DNA continues to shape the people and cultures of the Mediterranean and beyond. The Mediterranean was the heart of the ancient world, a crossroads where civilizations met, traded, and blended. And at the center of this melting pot were the Phoenicians. Their genetic legacy, uncovered through cutting-edge research, reveals a fascinating story of migration, integration, and influence that spanned continents. The journey begins in the Near East, the cradle of Phoenician civilization. Excavations in modern-day Lebanon have unearthed DNA from ancient burial sites, offering a glimpse into the genetic makeup of their homeland. These findings reveal a remarkable diversity. The Phoenicians didn't just stay rooted in their Levantine origin. Their DNA reflects intermixing with neighboring populations. Their genetic ties extend into southwestern Europe, suggesting that even in their early days, the Phoenicians were engaging in far-reaching connections. In North Africa, the story becomes even more intriguing. Carthage, the crown jewel of Phoenician colonization, was a hub of cultural and genetic exchange. Studies of ancient remains from Tunisia show a male-dominated Phoenician influence, as evidenced by the Y chromosome data. This suggests that Phoenician men, likely traders and settlers, integrated with local populations, creating a society that blended Levantine, North African, and even European ancestry. Moving westward, the Phoenicians' influence is vividly seen in Europe. On the Spanish island of Ibiza, researchers discovered genetic traces of Phoenician ancestry in ancient burial sites. Haplogroups like U5B2C1, rare in today's populations, were found in skeletons from Phoenician settlements. These markers tie the Phoenicians to regions as far afield as Portugal and the British Isles, showcasing the vast reach of their trade networks. Even more remarkable is the evidence of Phoenician integration in Sardinia and Malta. Here, ancient DNA reveals a mixture of Near Eastern and local European lineages, suggesting that the Phoenicians didn't just trade goods. They traded genes, leaving a lasting imprint on the genetic landscape of these islands. Each of these regions tells a story of movement and blending. The Phoenicians didn't conquer lands by force. They established themselves through trade, diplomacy, and integration. Their genetic legacy reflects this unique approach, showing how they connected diverse populations into a thriving Mediterranean network. What's truly extraordinary is the consistency of this genetic evidence across the Mediterranean. From Lebanon to Ibiza, Sardinia to Tunisia, the Phoenicians' DNA carries the same message. They were connectors. Their ability to bridge cultures wasn't just a historical phenomenon, it was a genetic one. But how did this blending impact their society? And what role did women play in the spread of Phoenician genes? As we continue, we'll uncover the fascinating story of Phoenician women and their pivotal role in shaping the genetic landscape of the ancient Mediterranean. The Phoenicians weren't just legendary sailors and traders. They were also pioneers in building multicultural societies. And at the heart of this integration were the women whose movements and contributions played a vital role in shaping the genetic legacy of this ancient civilization. DNA evidence has revealed fascinating details about how Phoenician women helped establish thriving, diverse communities. Mitochondrial DNA, which is passed down through the maternal line, has shown that women from the Near East and North Africa moved with the Phoenicians, settling in places like Sardinia, Ibiza, and Sicily. These women became part of new communities, blending their genetic heritage with that of local populations. Take Sardinia, for example. Ancient DNA from Phoenician burial sites on the island reveals the presence of Near Eastern mitochondrial haplogroups, a clear indication of women migrating from the Levant and integrating into local societies. Meanwhile, in Ibiza, researchers found evidence of North African women settling in Phoenician colonies, contributing to the island's genetic diversity. These discoveries paint a picture of Phoenician women as active participants in the spread of their civilization. But the influence wasn't one-sided. In Lebanon, the heartland of the Phoenicians, mitochondrial DNA reveals the presence of haplogroups from southwestern Europe. This means that women from places like Spain and Portugal traveled eastward, intermingling with Phoenician populations. It's a striking example of how the Phoenicians weren't just exporters of culture. They were also recipients, constantly blending and evolving through their interactions with other societies. What makes this mobility so significant is its implications for Phoenician society. Unlike many ancient civilizations, where women often played a limited role in migration and expansion, the Phoenicians relied on the movement of women to establish stable and enduring settlements. The presence of women in these colonies suggests that the Phoenicians weren't just setting up temporary trade posts. They were building permanent communities. This mobility also highlights the inclusivity of Phoenician culture. Rather than dominating or displacing local populations, the Phoenicians integrated with them, creating multicultural societies where people of different backgrounds coexisted. This approach wasn't just pragmatic, it was visionary, allowing the Phoenicians to thrive in a highly interconnected Mediterranean world. Through their movements and integration, Phoenician women left a genetic legacy that continues to shape populations today. They were the carriers of diversity, blending lineages from Europe, Africa, and the Near East into a tapestry that reflects the interconnectedness of the ancient world. But what about today? Are there populations that still carry the genetic traces of Phoenician women and their remarkable mobility? As we continue, we'll explore the modern legacy of Phoenician genetics and uncover the fascinating connections between the past and the present. The Phoenicians vanished as a political and cultural power thousands of years ago, but their story didn't end there. Today, traces of their presence can still be found, not just in ancient ruins or historical accounts but in the DNA of modern populations across the Mediterranean. Recent genetic studies have shown that approximately 6% of men in the Mediterranean region carry Y chromosome markers linked to Phoenician ancestry. These markers, part of a haplogroup associated with the Near East, reveal the genetic signature of a civilization that once dominated the region. But it's not just about the men. Mitochondrial DNA, passed down through maternal lines, also carries Phoenician genetic traces, offering a more complete picture of their legacy. Lebanon, the heartland of the Phoenicians, still shows strong genetic ties to its ancient inhabitants. DNA from modern Lebanese populations reveals continuity with the Phoenician past, particularly among men whose Y chromosome markers match those found in ancient burial sites. This suggests that the people of Lebanon are direct descendants of the Phoenicians, maintaining a connection to their heritage over thousands of years. In North Africa, the story takes on a multicultural dimension. Genetic studies of Tunisian populations show a mix of Phoenician, Berber, and European ancestry, reflecting the integration and blending that defined Phoenician colonies like Carthage. This diversity is a testament to the Phoenicians' ability to create societies that welcomed and integrated different peoples. Moving to Europe, we find traces of Phoenician ancestry in unexpected places. On the island of Ibiza, ancient DNA from Phoenician burials has revealed genetic connections to modern populations in Portugal and the British Isles. These findings highlight the vast reach of Phoenician trade networks, which carried not just goods but also people and their genes across the Mediterranean and beyond. But perhaps the most striking evidence of Phoenician influence comes from the Balearic Islands, Malta, and Sardinia. Here, modern populations show a blend of Near Eastern and European genetic markers, mirroring the ancient mobility and integration that characterized Phoenician society. This genetic legacy is a reminder of how the Phoenicians bridged worlds, creating a Mediterranean network that connected diverse regions and peoples. What's fascinating is that this genetic legacy often goes unnoticed. Many people living in the Mediterranean today may not even realize that they carry Phoenician ancestry. Yet, their DNA tells a story of a civilization that thrived on connection, diversity, and integration, a story that continues to resonate in the genetic makeup of modern populations. So, could you be a descendant of the Phoenicians? The answer may lie in your own DNA, waiting to reveal a hidden chapter of history. As we delve deeper, we'll explore how Phoenician genetics not only shaped the ancient world but also hold broader implications for understanding human migration, integration, and identity. The Phoenicians weren't just traders of goods. They were traders of ideas, culture, and genes. Their genetic influence spread far beyond their Levantine homeland, creating an interconnected Mediterranean world that set the stage for globalization as we know it today. One of the most striking ways this influence is evident is in the spread of specific genetic markers. Rare haplogroups, such as U5B2C1, tell a story of mobility and integration that transcended borders. Found in ancient Phoenician remains from Carthage and Ibiza, these genetic traces connect populations across Europe, North Africa, and the Near East. It's a powerful reminder of how far-reaching Phoenician trade networks truly were. But how did the Phoenicians achieve this level of influence? The answer lies in their unparalleled mobility. As master navigators, they established colonies in strategic locations, from Gadir in Spain to Carthage in North Africa and beyond. These colonies weren't isolated outposts. They were thriving hubs of trade and cultural exchange. Wherever the Phoenicians went, they blended with local populations, creating a genetic mosaic that reflected their interconnected world. Take Sardinia, for example. Ancient DNA from Phoenician burial sites shows a blend of Near Eastern, North African, and European genetic markers. This genetic diversity is a testament to the Phoenicians' ability to integrate different populations into their society. Similarly, in Malta and Sicily, the genetic legacy of the Phoenicians reveals a pattern of mobility and intermarriage that defined their expansion. But the influence of Phoenician genetics wasn't limited to the Mediterranean. Evidence suggests that their trade networks extended even further, reaching the Atlantic coasts of Europe and possibly connecting with regions as distant as the British Isles. The presence of Phoenician genetic markers in populations far from their homeland speaks to their role as global connectors, bridging continents and cultures long before the term globalization existed. What makes this legacy so remarkable is its relevance to today's world. The Phoenicians exemplify the idea of interconnectedness, showing how diversity and integration can lead to thriving societies. Their genetic influence serves as a reminder of the power of connection, a lesson that remains just as important in our modern, interconnected world. The global influence of Phoenician genetics is more than just a historical curiosity. It's a lens through which we can understand the movement of people, the blending of cultures, and the foundations of our shared human story. And it all started with a civilization that saw the Mediterranean not as a barrier but as a bridge. As we move forward, we'll explore what Phoenician genetics can teach us about ancient mobility and how their legacy is shaping the way we understand human migration today. In recent years, genetic studies have transformed the way we understand ancient civilizations. For the Phoenicians, this research has been groundbreaking, offering new insights into their mobility, societal structure, and enduring legacy. But why is this work so significant? And what does it tell us about the broader story of humanity? First, genetic studies allow us to uncover the hidden aspects of history. While the Phoenicians left behind few written records in their own language, their DNA has become a living archive. Ancient DNA extracted from burial sites in Lebanon, Carthage, Sardinia, and Ibiza provides a clearer picture of their migration patterns, their intermingling with local populations, and their influence on the genetic makeup of the Mediterranean. These discoveries confirm what historical accounts have long suggested. The Phoenicians were highly mobile and deeply integrative, creating a patchwork of genetic diversity that still echoes in modern populations. Second, Phoenician genetic studies shed light on the role of women in ancient migrations. Unlike many ancient civilizations, where male-dominated migration was the norm, the Phoenicians included women in their expansion. Mitochondrial DNA reveals that Phoenician women moved across the Mediterranean, intermingling with local communities and contributing to the stability and growth of their settlements. This mobility challenges traditional narratives about ancient migrations, emphasizing the importance of women in shaping the genetic and cultural landscape of the ancient world. Third, these studies have broader implications for understanding human history. The Phoenicians weren't the only civilization to spread their genes through migration and integration, but their genetic legacy provides a model for how ancient societies interacted and evolved. By tracing their DNA, we gain insights into how cultures adapted, exchanged ideas, and built connections across vast distances. This research highlights the interconnectedness of the ancient world, offering lessons for today's globalized society. Moreover, the methodologies used in Phoenician genetic research are paving the way for future discoveries. Advanced sequencing technologies, such as whole genome analysis, are enabling scientists to explore ancient populations with unprecedented detail. This work is already inspiring new studies of other civilizations, from Alexander the Great's conquests to the Viking expansions. It's a reminder that the story of human migration is far from complete, and that DNA is one of our most powerful tools for filling in the gaps. Finally, Phoenician genetic studies are a testament to the enduring power of diversity. The Phoenicians thrived because they embraced connection and integration, blending cultures and ideas to create a dynamic and adaptable civilization. Their genetic legacy serves as a reminder that our shared human story is one of movement, exchange, and collaboration. As we uncover more about the Phoenicians, we're not just learning about an ancient civilization, we're learning about ourselves. Their DNA is a bridge between the past and the present, a testament to the power of connection and the resilience of human culture. In the next section, we'll reflect on the lessons the Phoenicians offer for today's world and consider how their genetic story can help us understand the future of human migration and diversity. The story of the Phoenicians is far more than ancient history. It's a story written in our DNA, a living legacy that connects us to one of the most influential civilizations of the ancient world. From their rise as master traders and innovators to their fall under the weight of conquest, the Phoenicians shaped the Mediterranean and left an indelible mark on the genetic and cultural landscapes of the regions they touched. Through cutting-edge genetic research, we've learned that the Phoenicians were far more than a seafaring people. They were global connectors. Their ability to integrate with local populations, blending cultures and ideas, is a powerful testament to the strength of diversity. From the Near East to North Africa, Europe to the British Isles, their genetic legacy speaks to their vast reach and enduring influence. But this story isn't just about the past. It's a reminder of the interconnectedness of humanity, both then and now. The Phoenicians thrived because they saw the Mediterranean not as a boundary but as a bridge. Their openness to exchange of goods, ideas, and even genes allowed them to build a network that transcended borders and united disparate peoples. Today, as we face a world that is more interconnected than ever, the Phoenician story holds valuable lessons. They remind us that integration, collaboration, and embracing diversity are not just ideals. They are strategies for building resilient and thriving societies. Their genetic legacy serves as a blueprint for understanding how cultures can flourish through connection and exchange. And what about you? Could your DNA carry the legacy of the Phoenicians? It's entirely possible. Their genetic markers still exist in modern populations across the Mediterranean and beyond, waiting to tell the story of your connection to one of history's greatest civilizations. As we continue to explore the secrets of ancient DNA, who knows what other stories we might uncover? The Phoenicians' tale is just one chapter in the vast book of human history, a chapter that reminds us that even as civilizations rise and fall, their legacies endure, woven into the fabric of who we are today. So, the next time you look at a map of the Mediterranean, remember, you're not just looking at a body of water, you're looking at the crossroads of a civilization that changed the world. And perhaps, a piece of that world-changing legacy lives on in you. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the genetic story of the Phoenicians. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more fascinating explorations of ancient civilizations and the secrets they left behind.